What's up, it's Ken. This is a video demonstration of some of my musical abilities. This video will deal with harmony recognition. I'm going to use Earmaster to play me some harmonies in quick succession, and I'm going to have to recognize them on the control keyboard. Harmony recognition is my most powerful ability. I can play melody too, but harmony recognition seems more powerful, whether this is because harmony only changes once in a while the melody changes more quickly, or because there's a difference between the vertical and horizontal components of music in my brain, or for some other reason. I don't know, but the fact is harmony feels more powerful, and I'm much more sure of what I do, unless the melody is slow, but that's a different matter. We're going to start out with basic harmonies and then make it more difficult. In the key of C major, which is Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do, those would be the major root, the minor subdominant, the minor dominant, sometimes played major, the major subdominant, the major dominant, the minor root, the diminished chord, and this is the major root again. I just established the tonality in my head. This would be the root. So once tonality is established, I can instantaneously recognize the harmonies. Let's start with a question. Minor root. Notice how fast I can recognize random chords. I don't even think in cadences. I can involuntarily perceive the harmony just as involuntarily as I perceive color. It just pops up in my head. This ability can be trained to some degree. I don't know how the speed can be trained, but the ability to recognize, which is based on relative pitch, can be trained. This is what I'm hoping to achieve with the people in my video lessons. This thing happened to me very quickly, instantaneously, in one eureka moment. I didn't have to study harmonies or music theory. I just know them. It's I believe all people have this subconscious music processor in their head, which allows them to understand and enjoy music, because if you don't have relative pitch, if you don't have that ability, then you can't enjoy music at all, because you can't tell the difference between the intervals. This is also similar to some of the theories I've read about how music is processed. I think the difference with me is that my subconscious barrier has somehow become much lower. That means that some of the things that are unconscious to most people, or subconscious, they're conscious to me. That's why the quality of the harmony just pops up in my head, and I can't turn it off. I just know that was the root, that was the dominant, and we're going to make things much more difficult now. I'm going to add some more harmonies. So this is the 7 basic harmonies are very easy for me. What we're going to do now is add let's add the second this minor chord. We'll add the major version too, and the minor dominant. We'll add the major version that's used when playing on the harmonic and melodic scales. We'll also add the major subdominant minorized. That's how I call it. Some harmonies I don't exactly know what the theoretical description of them are, but I can recognize them and reproduce them just the same. Okay, so we added 3 harmonies now. These are a little more difficult harmonies. Well, still 100%, and I can recognize these so fast, and most of the popular songs are don't use half as much harmonies, so it's very easy for me to just sit down in front of a piano or take a guitar and just start playing by ear from memory any song I know. I just play it in my head and recognize the harmonies. Now I do get better as I play the song, because when you do something a lot of times, it goes to symbolic memory, habitual memory, but harmony is so slow compared that I don't need it, but it does make me better. This is more important for melody. I'll speak about that later. The difference between symbolic memory, habitual memory, and normal thinking is that, for example, once you had to calculate 3 times 3, but then you calculated it so much times that now when you see 3 times 3, 9 immediately pops to mind. By the way, that's the reason some savants, such as Kim Peek, have such amazing memory, because apparently they only use habitual memory. They can't think as logically as neurotypical people, but everything they see, they just remember after one time for all time, because it goes straight to habitual memory. Their brain is a little different. Now, I'm not in the strictest sense a savant. I'm savant-like, because I've got abilities which are similar to savants. I don't have brain damage as far as I know, and I've never suffered a head injury. Apparently, though, regular people can also have access to these abilities. It might be rare, but it's possible, and I'm also hoping this can be trained. How to bring on this eureka moment, though, is a good question. I'm going to add more harmonies now. Let's try these ones. These are some form of secondary dominance or something. I can recognize them. And root majorized. Okay, I've added these harmonies in the key of C major. This one, and the minor root played major, and the diminished degree played major. We'll that was and the major root again. So you saw how fast I can recognize the harmonies, and how much different harmonies I can recognize. I can also recognize much more complex harmonies, sevenths, minor sevenths, major sevenths. For example, the major root with a minor seventh is sometimes used in songs. It makes the root seem like it's not at rest, or something weird like that. So that was the demonstration. I'd like to hear opinions like, if you can do the same thing but slower, I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to know what goes on in your head. If you know someone who can do the same as fast as this, I'd like to hear about it too. This isn't using absolute pitch, by the way. I don't have absolute pitch. It's relative pitch. If you know somebody that can do it faster, I'd certainly like to hear about that. I'll do some explaining about melody recognition in another video. That's it for now. Thank you.